Alex here with a high conflict child custody video on the separation phase. What I'm talking about specifically is the time before you have filed a lawsuit, to divorce or petition for child custody, but after you have basically, already talked to each other about splitting up. So you're not in court yet, but you're not together anymore. So it's an inevitability. And I just kind of wanted to go over some common pitfalls, I guess, during this phase. The first thing I wanted to mention, and I guess this is one of the issues that comes up a lot, is whether or not to stay in the home. This is, I feel like a lot of the videos on this kind of make it more simple than it really is. With a low conflict or a normal type of situation, a normal breakup, it probably is better to stay in the home. If it's not a high conflict type of case, you don't have to worry about your ex going, insane on you, trying to, start a domestic violence issue, trying to set you up in some way so that they can use it against you in court. You can probably just stay in the home and do the best that you can for the kids. Things might be really awkward. You might be really snippy with each other, but nobody's going to falsely accuse each other and nobody's going to cause a scene. So yeah, in those cases, it probably does make sense to stay in the home, especially since your opponent can bring up the fact that you left and therefore abandoned the family or whatever in court, which, by the way, in my opinion, is a weak argument. I don't think it really is going to get anybody anywhere to claim that their partner left the home, as long as they're still involved in some way or at least still available. Maybe they got their own place, but a judge is going to be understanding of that. That goes into what I was about to basically lead into, which is the videos that make it into a total, like, do not leave the home type of situation, which in a high conflict case, you need to get out of there. And the reason is these cases involve really messed up exes who are, any chance that they get, they're going to do something crazy. You do not want to be around them at all. Whether it's an insidious sort of plot that they've concocted to set you up in some way, to record you doing something. Yeah, I've seen that right before, because they know you're splitting up and they know a divorce case is coming, so they try to set you up. I've seen it. It didn't happen in my case, at least. In hindsight, I can think of a couple of examples of where my ex might have been trying to set me up, but because in court she never really used any evidence, I'll never really know for sure if she tried to. But I'm not talking about my case. I have been helping people. I can think of two where they were so obviously set up, and it's one of those situations where you really can't be absolutely sure that you can protect yourself from that unless you get out of the home, because there's just so many opportunities for them to do something. In other situations, it's often a domestic violence type of situation that gets, all of a sudden there's a domestic violence issue. There never was one before, but now all of a sudden there is. And now miraculously their ex has some way to record it, or a witness is over. And it's the same type situation. It's a setup, but the high conflict ex, now that you're still in the home with them, it has so many more opportunities at their disposal to create a domestic dispute and then try to make that into an issue in court. The other thing is, even if you manage to fend off all of these deceptions and tactics, the kids are still going to suffer because they're going to be there when it's going on. In my case, my ex made sure that my son was present because she knew that I didn't want him present. So I cover this in another video, Hide Emotions from Abuser. Talks about how try not to show your abuser what hurts you, because then they actually will specifically target that thing. So in my case, she knew that I didn't want my son subjected to these various things, so she would purposefully try to get him involved. So I mean, even if you manage to fend off these crazy things, the kids or child is still going to be there. He's still going to see them, he's still going to hear them, and he's still going to be emotionally damaged. So I actually do not agree with a lot of the other advice videos out there. I say you need to move out, and you need to move out fast if it's a high conflict ex. Now that doesn't mean you just move out and just check out and never, ask to see the kids. You still need to, number one, send some kind of communication to show that your intent is to leave the home and leave the relationship, but not leave the children. And then number two, I strongly believe, even if you do have some kind of agreement from your ex in an email or a text message allowing you to see the kids and all that, you should still institute litigation. You should still go to court and file a petition, or if you're married, file a complaint for divorce. And the reason for that is it's just too easy for your ex to come back 1, 2, or 3 years later and say, hey, this is what we've been doing for 3 years. He's been seeing them every other weekend. I've been seeing them the rest of the time. I should get primary physical custody. Why are we going to upset the kids and award joint custody when he didn't want joint custody? He just wanted every other weekend. And a lot of times that parents like, well, that's all that they would let me have. I'd like to have more if I could. But what the high conflict ex did was just they ran the clock. Running the clock is a very common tactic. Some people think that a high conflict ex is there filing papers like crazy. Just every day they file a new paper. Some of them do that. Some of them don't. Some of them run the clock. Some of them don't do anything. And they just bide their time. And then when court comes up, they use that against you. So it's a common tactic for them to just bide their time, run the clock, and then when you finally manage to get to court, or when they bring you to court 2 or 3 or 4 years later, because now they think they can get child support because you're not going to get shared custody when you haven't hardly seen the kids for all those years. Same thing. In any way, shape, or form, it involves taking advantage of you not having gone to court. So it's important for you to go to court and get the court involved and get some kind of order in place. Now, for some of the people here who are like, well, I'm a good person, I don't want to involve court if I don't have to. I have a video called Stipulations. Watch the video, because if your ex really is just like you and they want to work on an out-of-court solution, it's totally available to you. You just go and you get if you already have an action pending, you get a stipulation and you put it together. If not, then you get a joint petition or a joint complaint. I'm not sure what it's called for divorce. Anyway, the point is it's a special packet you can get, fill it out, file it with the court, and there is no hearing. You don't see a judge. The judge just reads it, sees that you both agree, signs it, bam. Now you have a custody order. You didn't have to stress out with court. You're a good person because you didn't go into a courtroom and talk to a judge. And you have preserved all your rights. And it's all in writing. And it's enforceable by contempt of court. So for the people who are like, I don't want to go to court because either it scares me or I'm better than that, you can just go to your ex and ask them to fill out a simple little joint petition or complaint. And when they fill it out, you file it. And if they tell you no, if they say I'm not going to, sign that joint petition, it's a big fat red flag, underlined twice and circled, telling you that they're going to try to do something to stab you in the back. That's the only reason why a person would be willing to do a handshake agreement, but not a in writing agreement. If somebody wants to do a handshake agreement and they're honorable and they're going to be truthful and they're not going to backstab you, then why not just formalize it and put it in writing? This is not some kind of pocket change that you're making a deal over. This is your kids. This is the future of your children and the future of your involvement. It's a big deal. So for people who are trying to avoid court, there is an instrument available that you can, take advantage of it. And you know what? It's great to bring up to your ex. If you're worried about being backstabbed or deceived, all you got to do is put, the agreement in writing, bring it to them and show it to them. And if they don't want to sign it, you know what? You're right. They were going to screw you over. So it's a win-win, really. I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and end this video. There's not really much else I have to say. Really the big thing is time is of the essence when you're in when you've separated and you're not in litigation yet. Don't drag your feet. Get that action instituted and, get your rights formalized and reduced to a court order as quickly as you can. The worst thing you can do is wait a very long time before doing that, or just trust your ex. And of course, like I said, trusting your ex can manifest itself into a stipulation or a joint petition. That's another form of trusting your ex. Two people who have split up and are amicable should have no problem whatsoever filing a joint petition or a written agreement that's enforceable by the court system. So again, do recall the earlier part of my video where I mentioned if you're in a high conflict situation, try to get out of that house if you can. You can try to get your ex out, but that's a lot harder. It's very tough to remove them because they're high conflict. They'll fight tooth and nail to stay in the home, to do basically whatever. They'll fight tooth and nail to deny you whatever it is you want. You know, if they could have some legal basis to follow you wherever you went, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that too. Because they want to be there. Because when they're with you, they can come up with all kinds of fanciful allegations. Whether it happened or not, no one knows. You're in the home with them. It could have happened. You're a lot safer when you're just not in the home or in their presence. You're a lot safer from false accusations and all of that drama that's associated with being close to that kind of high conflict person. So anyway, kind of beating a dead horse here, but if anyone has any comments they'd like to post in the or any kind of stories or personal experiences that they've gone through, especially if you've been set up, please post that in the comments below, because people need to see that that is a thing. It really is a thing. There's some people, they see the divorce is coming and they start to think, I need to get something, I need to get some evidence, and they set their ex up. It's crazy. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I'll see you guys next time.